Okay. Hello and welcome to another fucking Islanders podcast. We are in the playoffs. We are playing Carolina, and all is right with the world. I am here with Mike Dino Jangle, Eric Vogel, and Brandon Gaines. Boys, how are we feeling?
Relieved.
Do the intro now?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Banner raising.
Oh,
And
Eric,
look,
you were not here
in
for
honor
this.
of Josh Bailey,
Yes.
cotton candy soda pop, soft as shit, just like Josh.
No. But you forgot to write underneath. I thought I was playing well.
I know.
Underneath his name.
I'm very disappointed I didn't do that.
There is
Eric missed it. Eric, I know you didn't listen, but I put the clip if you saw it.
I did see that.
I can't believe John said that and thought he did something to me there.
Here's the thing. There is a new statement under his banner now.
What is
It
it?
says, "We won, cry harder."
Damn.
All right.
Oh, beautiful. There we go. Okay. So who wants to start us off?
Let's let Eric start things off. We haven't heard
We
it.
haven't seen it. We haven't seen it in a while. Eric, tell me about your journey to this moment.
You know what? I've been grateful that work has been so busy because if I had been paying close attention and living and dying with all these victories and giveaways, I'd probably have an ulcer right now.
Okay.
You
Feel
know,
that?
I think it was Tuckman who posted something today that was like all the man games lost this season.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're in the playoffs and the fact that they're going to be mostly healthy, I'm actually very optimistic right now. If Romanov and Barzal come back by like game 3, this could be a series. Now I don't think we beat Carolina in the regular season, right? We lost to them all 3 times.
No, we beat
We
them.
are 1-3 against them.
1 and
So
3.
we did win one.
All right. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm grateful that the regular season is over. Yeah, that's about it. Jesus.
Okay. Brandon?
All 3 teams in the tri-state area are in the playoffs. Hasn't happened since 2007.
Not only that, the Knicks and Nets are in the playoffs, and the Yankees and Mets were in the playoffs last year. So all
True.
New Yorkers are happy right now.
Yeah, except Sabres fans, but whatever.
Yeah.
12-year playoff drought, fun fact. But completely unexpected. Listen, there's many faults that I could say that Lane Lambert has, and Lou has, regarding especially the hiring of Johnny McLean. The power play has been god awful schematically. It's over reliant on Matt Barzal and Bo Horvat, and without Barzal, there's no schematic adjustment. I don't care about the Anders Lee goal against Montreal last night. Fun fact: Anders Lee is going to be part of a trivia question later on. Fun fact.
Good.
So
you have to mention, Brandon, they scored that power play goal not even doing their scheme. They were literally passing to each other at the point and decided to shoot it.
Yeah, they kind of just had like a lucky bounce there, to be honest.
And just Lee deflected it. That was
Think how funny that is when they're not trying to. Well, I'm not going to say they're not trying to score on the power play, but when they're trying to be as safe as possible on the power play, they actually scored, which is kind of funny because they always look like they're trying to play as safe as possible though, because they don't understand that a power play should be as simple as possible. You look at teams that have all the talent in the world and they still pass, shoot. There's nothing crazy about it.
Our playoff opponent does the same thing.
Carolina will shoot everything. It's going to be miserable.
Yeah.
When they have power plays, I should say we might win, but I mean,
so regarding Lambert, I commend him for making his more often not helping scratches for Josh Bailey. I condemn him for putting him on the first line when he plays
in a season deciding game. Yeah,
I'll
talk about that.
I condemn him for trying to resort to a modern run and gun style that doesn't fit the makeup of this roster. But I commend him for having buttoned up defensive scheme over the last 25 games, which arguably got the Islanders to this position. I mean, the Islanders were actually playing; they weren't relying solely on Sorokin for the most part. What they were in the first half. But
they were playing "quote unquote" Trotz hockey,
playoff hockey, a style that we see Minnesota playing, even with Kaprizov out for a bulk of for the last 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The Avalanche do it, the Stars do it, the Vegas Golden Knights do it. Regardless of the talent and whatnot, they all have to play that style of hockey. You know, you have to. And weirdly, the Islanders are averaging over 3 goals per game since the Barzal injury to now. And they've given up less than 2.5 goals per game. And mind you, this was with a horrible power play, a 10% success rate power play from the Barzal injury to now.
Yep.
Like it's mind-boggling. The catastrophic injuries that the Islanders dealt with, Pelech, Palmieri, Pajot, all hurt at least a minimum of 4 weeks throughout the span of the season. Barzal out for the last 7.5 weeks. And despite that, the Islanders got the first wild card spot. They did. You could owe it to the Penguins' mismanagement of their goaltending. You could do that if you want, and obviously giving away Bluger and bringing in Michael Granlund, who was god awful for them, and then Bonino and Kulikov getting hurt. Sure. But the Islanders had their own issues too, and the Islanders muscled right through it. Romanov looked consistent before he got hurt. I think he supposedly should be in for game 1 as well. That's the speculation. The speculation is also that Barzal should hopefully be ready by game 1, the earliest, game 2, the latest. And if that happens, sky's the limit for this team. I don't think they beat Boston, but they could probably beat at least 5 of the other teams.
Okay. Mike?
I got 2 points, and Brandon brought up another one that's very important. But first, I'd like to discuss the jersey. I feel like that was a mistake of a decision by Lambert to put him in the last game, and I'm going to tell you why. And it actually, in my opinion, it doesn't have anything to do with Josh Bailey's play. If you're a fan of the Islanders, you have to respect what Josh Bailey's done for this organization, loyalty-wise. If it would have been his last game as an Islander and they lost, I would hate to have him remembered that way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like putting him in that spot is kind of unfair. I almost would have rather him been in one of the playoff games than to completely change up what was going so well for them through this run. The majority of this run has been without Josh Bailey. So I felt like it was a really odd decision for Lane to go back to something that he was avoiding to death for the whole run. Now, Josh Bailey had a decent first period. I wasn't happy with some of the turnovers right away, but he just completely fell back into the guy that we've known for the second and third. And I mean, I don't know. People are talking about how good he was and how he's riding off into the sunset. I think when you talk about in the same sentence, he's been good and he's riding off into the sunset, you are lying to everyone when you say he was good. You know he's horrible and you know he's a problem out there. So it's been really frustrating to read Twitter and seeing everyone give him compliments, because let's be honest, if the team lost that game, I don't think anyone would be singing his praises at all. I think it would have been an absolute, Lane's an idiot, Bailey's washed. So I guess, people just, I don't know what they're watching when they watch the games, to be honest. He had a good back check, maybe a little bit of effort in the first period, and 2 good passes, and that was the whole game. And he's playing on the first line. They're not going to win games if Horvat has double coverage. It's just not going to happen.
Nope.
So my second point after going on but once again, I respect Josh Bailey for what he's done for the organization. For anyone that actually knows me knows, I actually root for the guy once in a while, but I feel like his career is over. And from what I've seen, he hasn't proven me wrong at all. The second part is with Sorokin, with Brandon, and this is why later we'll talk about MVP stuff. But the problem with a lot of people in Ilya Sorokin and even all the analysts across the league is they love using goals saved above expected. And while that is a very interesting stat to show how good he's been in big games for us, And, he does have a ton of high danger saves as well. But the problem with that stat is it's used almost, exclusively. I don't even know how to explain this correctly, but one game he'll have 13 or 14% of his goals saved above expected, on his total overall average.
Right.
When you are using 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 games to go over the guy's whole season, it can kind of misconstrue how great he's been. I do think he's been one of the best players for the Islanders in general this season. But the problem with that is, for instance, who would you say is the better goal scorer, Bo Horvat or Brock Nelson?
Actually, I'd say Brock Nelson.
Yes.
Right.
And you know why, John? Because Brock consistently scores.
Yes.
This is why I think Ullmark deserves the Vezina. Consistently dominant the whole year. Ilya Sorokin, 2 to 3 games, dominance. The next 2, mid. But he got all of that goals saved above expected in a 7-3 win, 7-4 win. And you're like, made a difference?
The tendency for those analysts is that they tend to look at those numbers in a vacuum, and they don't isolate things in stretches. And the same thing goes for a regular season. Same thing goes for regular season in terms of like teams. When people think of the Islanders, and if you look at it in a vacuum, you're only thinking, oh, if it wasn't for Sorokin, the Islanders would be in the Bedard sweepstakes. I go, yeah. Did you watch the last 25 games of this season?
Yeah.
Did you?
But
Did you?
Brandon, it's the same argument I use when I tell people, hey, did you know the last 3 years before Barzal got hurt, he had the same points per 60 as Crosby at 5v5? Yeah. Does that mean he's as good as Sidney Crosby? No, not at all. But people will use that to say, oh, Sorokin is the reason the Islanders are good. And I'm like, not necessarily. I mean, if anything.
He's been fantastic this year. He's been absolutely for the most part. For the most part this year. Now, I said this on Monday. I could count literally 10 games in which he was arguably the reason why the Islanders lost.
Yeah,
But one of the road Nashville game, he was horrible. The home Canucks game, he was terrible. Even Washington on Monday, he was horrible. Even the 3-0 collapse, he was horrible.
Okay.
You take the good and the bad with the goaltender.
Exactly. And John, I don't think anyone's going to argue that he's not a top 5 goalie right now. Like we're totally.
No, but I think you guys are missing a very fundamental point about goaltending when in your argument here. You guys are taking the he let in a soft goal, as in he was having a bad night. No. When realistically, he did let in a soft goal. He might have let in 2 soft goals, but he saved like 6 high danger chances that would have went in on anyone else. See, this is the thing with Ilya Sorokin, where you can look at him and go, that number is so high, it's obviously has to be like stat padding, things like that. No, what it really is for most of the season, the Islanders' defense was so bad that they could have let in 10 goals, and they only let in like 2 or 3 because he had ridiculous highlight save of the year level saves routinely. That's why everybody looks at him around the league and thinks he's Vezina worthy. Not because of the numbers, but because every fan can look at the Islander highlights and see Ilya Sorokin making a disgusting, oh my God, how did he do that save every other night? That doesn't happen if you have a good defense.
Here's my thing, John. I don't think Lane Lambert's system is like the complete opposite of Barry Trotz's.
It was for most of the season.
I don't agree with that at all. I think his system is a more offensive-based Trotz system. I have the whole year. Now, someone could tell me I'm wrong, but the only major differences I've seen is that the defense step up way higher. But
that's the main difference, yeah.
But otherwise,
that's a huge difference.
They opened their game up. They tried to open the game up, and it backfired on them.
If you're not going to back check as a defenseman, they're going to get beat off the rush like multiple times every single game. That's the difference between winning and losing. That's the difference between a Trotz system and a Doug Weight system.
All right, Eric wants
all right. So what are the predictions? What are the predictions for this series? I personally think that the Islanders in 6. You guys have been talking about it. I see. In the words of all the 15-year-olds I play online video games with, goalie diff. The goalie is the difference. I genuinely believe that Ilya Sorokin is going to 100% steal this series for us. Who's next?
Mike, you want to go next?
I just don't agree with that necessarily.
All right, Mike, give your opinion.
Well, if it's like the last 25 games, it's going to be a team effort. I think Sorokin was big early in the year, and I think later in the year they actually covered up for him a few times.
All right, well, we're on to the predictions now. So, what do you think?
Oh, I thought that's what we were. Oh, wait. Eric gave a prediction. I thought he said Sorokin was going to steal the series. Oh, he just muted himself on accident.
Isles and 6. And I'm not saying, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying because of Ilya Sorokin, not that he's going to bail out the team. I'm saying all things being equal, which I think we can agree. On their best day, the roster is not necessarily comparable in terms of skating ability or any other advantages. Maybe when healthy, it's close, but certainly not right now without Romanov and Barzal for sure. That if they win, it's going to be in large part because Ilya Sorokin is better than anything that the Hurricanes can put out there. 2006.
Got you. So, Eric, I had brought that up and I was confused with what I was doing because I was waiting for you to give the number. You just had Sorokin would steal the series, and I didn't know how many games that would be.
Oh, no, he said it. I think you just missed it. That's all right. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear it the first time.
He said Isles and 6.
Okay. So,
all right, go ahead.
I mean, this is going to be pretty bad for you. I know what you guys are probably going to say. I'm picking Carolina in 7. I think it's going to be a wonderful series. But I don't know if the Islanders, and we don't know how many games we're going to get of Barzal either. He might only come in halfway through the series, and if they're already down 2 to 3 games, that it's going to be just clawing back. I think it could be Carolina in 7, but to the other side of that, I could also see Islanders in 7 as well. So I think it's going to be a long series. Just to finish that last point real quick though, just how Eric said Sorokin would steal the series. I think a lot of what would help Sorokin steal the series is the way the Islanders play. Even before Lane made all the changes, and I understand they were learning the system, but the way the Islanders have played the last 4 or 5 years is very conducive to good goaltending. All right, next.
So I'm picking the Islanders in 6 as well. And I'm basing this off of the assumption that by the earliest, you would get Barzal back and Romanov back by game 1. The latest you would get them back would be by game 2. Mm-hmm. Regardless, I could definitely see a scenario that, say, if Barzal isn't there, I could see Romanov having to pitch up 45 saves probably in game 1. He would probably get shelled big time because Bolduc and Dobson Aho would just get walked around probably. And they wouldn't have the good skating at bare minimum from Romanov and Barzal to cover for that right away. So I could definitely see that happening. I could see that happening any game per se. But I also think what really will help with Barzal coming back, because Johnny McClain is over-reliant on this, is that the power play will click again. It will click again like it did when Barzal and Horvat were together, because they were at a 30% success rate when they were together. So knowing that, and knowing the fact that, I mean, let's be fair here, Freddie Anderson has not been good for Carolina. I mean, he was horrible against Florida tonight. Spoiler alert, we're doing this after the game. After the Panthers-Canes game where 8 goals were scored in the third period. Craziness. But, you can't rely on Freddie Anderson really right now. Their winger depth is taking a huge hit without Svechnikov. They haven't been really arguably the same offensively without him as far as like big time scoring goes. And that gets equalized when it comes to the playoffs. It completely gets equalized when it comes to the playoffs. Ranta, he's not that consistent either in net. Arguably one of the main reasons why they lost that series to the Rangers last playoffs. So I see goaltending playing a factor here. I also see the Islanders matching Carolina's speed with the return of Barzal and Romanov. And I'm picking the Islanders in 6 because of that.
All right.
Now, if they don't return at all, then all bets are off, obviously.
Okay.
But I'm basing this off of the pattern of which they're skating. They'll probably skate with the team, light skate tomorrow, probably.
Sounds good. Okay. So I have Islanders in 7 on the contingency that Barzal and Romanov get healthy and are themselves when they play early on in the series. Because that's one thing that I think a lot of people are not putting enough stock into. It's not enough to say, okay, they're healthy, they're in the game. They need to actually look like themselves. They're playing a very physical, Romanov plays a very physical style. If he can't really do that and he's limited, then that's a big issue for them. If Barzal doesn't have his legs, that's a big issue for him. If they don't look like themselves, they're not going to really be able to do anything. But I think Sorokin is a good enough goalie. The Islanders play a good enough defensive style. And they're heavy enough team that they can wear a team like Carolina down as the series goes on. And I think they would take it in 7. All right. So we have the end of season awards to give out now. I'll start. You guys can go from there.
Okay.
First one is MVP. I have Sorokin as my MVP. He was the best player on the entire team this season by a country mile, and he is the sole reason that we're here. Okay, Eric, team MVP.
I think the chalk pick is obviously Ilya Sorokin.
Yeah.
He's clearly had the best season of anybody, but we are not here today if not for Bo Horvat.
Okay. I like that. I like it.
He swoops in out of nowhere. Imagine how despondent the fan base is if Matt Barzal goes down and Bo Horvat is not here. And yes, I know Mike's going to say Brock Nelson because he's already chosen it, and I follow his Twitter intensely. But and look, I love Brock Nelson too. Bo Horvat is like the breath of fresh air that
Mike, I think you're muted.
That this team needed. So
I know I want Eric to talk.
As evidenced by the picture that I posted, that gives me so much hope for these playoffs. Everybody just jumping on top of him. The snarky quote about the Canucks. This is a guy who
he wants to be here. Yeah,
he clearly wants to be here. And I look forward to seeing him in the playoffs, honestly. And yes, for me, just finally seeing that kind of player get traded for, I love Peugeot, I love Palmieri. Bo Horvat is another level, and his value, you can't put a number on what he's brought to the team.
He is marquee, the guy. Yeah,
marquee. That is exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent word.
I'm just curious, Brandon, before we start, I'd like to do a duo with you. Is your MVP the same as mine?
Yeah, I'm picking Brock Nelson.
Now, awesome. I'd love to just bounce off of you because I think this is a perfect pick. And I want to explain this very carefully here. He had a little bit of a rough start to the season. He wasn't the same defensive Brock Nelson that we knew. Mm-hmm. And it seems like every time I kicked him down a peg, he would come back up even better. And he finished the season, I think, stronger than he ever has. And I think, you could have said most improved. Sure, whatever. I think there are better nominees there, including Ilya Sorokin, most improved. Hell yeah. Sebastian Aho. I mean, we'll go over that when the time comes, and we're all going to say probably the same thing. But Brandon, Nelson, towards the end of this year, I think saved the Isles season. Turned into literally Alex Ovechkin Islanders, ridiculous scoring on the power play when we needed it. Too many games you can recall where they needed a goal, and who else was it? It was Brock Nelson. I think he finished the year with 37 goals. I mean, listen, he didn't have the type of teammates that Bo Horvat did.
He would have been my second pick, Brock Nelson. I do enjoy him very much.
I think anyone who picks Ilya Sorokin first, well, besides Eric, I don't know how you don't have Brock Nelson second. Bo Horvat was important, sure.
No,
look. Everybody knows this team is a gestalt, and I think there's arguments to be made for multiple people. They're all very, very important pieces.
Yeah.
Sorokin, Nelson. Nobody loves what Brock Nelson did this season more than I do. Actually, that's not true. Of course you do, Mike. But like obviously Nelson had a season, but it's for me, it's the fact that a guy like Horvat, the trade was finally made. I can't put a price on that. So much.
Okay, Mike, I think Eric is looking at this from an emotional and narrative perspective more than from a performance perspective. Bo Horvat being here is more important than how many goals he put up. The fact that he's here and the fact that he is on the team now and he is a level of player that he has been is what is the important part for this.
So, Brandon, you can bounce off me, but for me, it's not how you start, it is how you finish. And there was not a single player in the realm of Brock Nelson who finished the year like he did. And to me, he solidified the MVP with that. Continue.
75 points.
Amazing.
Tremendous second half of the year. You never nobody thought that Nelson would even break 35 goals again like he did last year.
He had a fantastic year, yeah, no doubt.
Nobody thought that. It obviously helps big time when you have another big fast frame like Engvall to take the pressure off of him 5-on-5. So that helps a lot. But still, you're still scoring the goals when you need to. And he gives the team a lot of flexibility too, being a center. It gives you that matchup, nightmare that the Islanders haven't really had for the most part. This is assuming Barzal comes back. They haven't had like a two-line, worrying tendency since the 17-18 season from an offensive perspective. You had to worry about the Barzal line. You had to also worry about the John Tavares line. Now, in this case, you have to worry about Horvat and Barzal, but you also have to worry about Nelson and Palmieri.
Sure.
So you have 2 5-on-5 lines now that you have to look out for now. And all while you're at it, you have Fashing to wear you down. But back to Nelson. All year consists of, with the exception of the late December, early to mid-January stretch, he cashed in. He made some great distributions. He was second, I believe, on the team in 5-on-5 primary assists. People want to say, oh, he had secondary assists. Yeah, well, he had also a lot of primaries as well. Scored a bunch of goals. He didn't have an overinflated shooting percentage, which helps. Nope. He was shooting the puck very often and cashing in when he needed to. And he scored big-time goals. The one against Pittsburgh 5-6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Nothing but clutch. Without him, arguably, given the last quarter, half of the season, the Islanders probably aren't in this spot.
I agree.
Because of that, you have to give him the team MVP.
Beautiful.
All right. Next.
So the next is most improved. And my vote goes to Alexander Romanov for the way he started the season versus the way he's finishing the season. He started a little shaky. He was giving pucks away. He was throwing the body a lot, but we had to work on positioning and giveaways and things like that. And he has ended by being arguably one of our most reliable defensemen. I cannot say enough how good his positioning has been the last 20 or so games, how good his decision-making has been. He's learning when to be physical and when to not be physical. His awareness on the ice has gotten much better. I cannot say enough about how much better I think he's gotten throughout the season. Okay, Eric?
I honestly improved were and breakout. How are we differentiating those two?
So improved is like somebody that was not really that great before and they got better, or maybe somebody who just hit another gear this year. Like, we know what they are. They got better. Breakout is we had no idea about this person and now they're a stud.
Yeah, so I can't even make another case for anybody but Romanov. It was a little worrisome early on after that. You trade a first round pick for him, but honestly, I don't know if it was in our chat or if it was a DM to Phil where I was like, young Scott Stevens.
Yeah, I see it. I see
like
it.
the guy lays hits and except he's like clean Scott Stevens.
Yeah.
He lays good, solid hits. His skating looks great, and his defense looks even better. Cannot even make another case for anybody else. I mean, I'm sure people can, but yeah, Romanov is my pick too.
There you go. All right, Mike.
Yeah, I already said it's Sebastian Aho before, but I mean, I think it's clear as day. The guy was horrible last year.
Okay.
I mean, to the point where if you guys remember, and it's hard to remember this, but Robin Salo played this year.
Yeah.
And me and Brandon were actually pretty high on him, too. I don't really know. Yeah, I know. I mean, he's played with Bridgeport, but
you guys wanted him to play over Aho. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair, he scored 2 goals for them this year. And I liked how he was playing. He's big defenseman, moved the puck well. But all of a sudden, they put Aho in. I thought it was questionable, especially because he didn't look too good in the beginning. And all of a sudden, he started using his skates instead of his brain. And he can skate his way out of most problems. Now, can he be better defensively? Sure. But with his size, he's really good for the Islanders' third pair because they're not a speedy team. And when you could run Pelech out on one line, I guess Romanov out on the second one because it's not going to be Dobson. Sorry, John. He's not the best skater, in my opinion. And
I agree.
And the third is Aho. You have every line that can skate. And when you can put out 3 lines that can skate like they've been doing, Islanders should be fine defensively. And they, the last 25 games, I think it's important to note that they were mostly middle of the league for all the analytics, whether it be XGA or all the defensive ones. They were mid, which is exactly what you need when you have a Sorokin and Varlamov combo. You just got to be average. And, if they're any better than that, this team could win a playoff round. That's all I got to say. All right, Brandon, who's your most improved, I believe it is?
Yes.
It is the very player that TJ from the Never Say Die podcast hates, and it's Alexander Romanov.
Really?
All right, there we go.
Yeah, because the rants. I'll never forget that NHL draft day rants. You can't give up the 13th overall for a defenseman. You could have gotten Kevin Fiala. You could have signed Nick Leddy in free agency, who sucks this year, by the way. He's miserable this year. But the dude was, again, same mentality I had during the trade. I still maintain it now. You traded a first rounder in a 2022 draft class. And you got a 22-year-old defenseman, 22, good skater, throws the body around, had positioning issues early on during the season, no doubt about it. Had his inconsistencies early on, no doubt. The mindset is you needed to take pressure off of Pelech. You had to. And the guy who I said that Romanov should aspire to be isn't Pelech, but Jonas Brodin from Minnesota, because the skating matches between the two. And Romanov is still young. He's got time to grow. So inconsistencies early on aside, prior to the injury, previous 5 weeks before he got hurt, he was phenomenal. Don't give me the first period against the Tampa Bay Lightning when he got hurt and he was dealing with Point and Kucherov. Don't give me that. Okay.
Just imagine how much better he'd be doing if he didn't have to fight somebody after he lays somebody out with a perfectly clean hit.
That's true.
Yeah, that too. Don't give me that one game as an outlier, because I know people are going to say, "Oh, his HDCF since Barzal got hurt is below 50." Yeah, context matters here, buddy. Okay, his positioning has been much more consistent. Whether he's been paired with Pollock or whomever, mostly Pollock, because their styles match properly. He's been great. He's been great.
What they've been doing, right? Like the last, they actually put Pelech with Pollock back again.
Yeah, but I think that's going to change if Romanov.
Okay. I mean, I prefer that. I think it's always better that way. It always has been, my opinion. But
I think that'll change once Romanov gets healthy and back and ready. They'll pair Pelech with Mayfield, and they'll probably keep Aho with Dobson because they don't want to throw Bolduc into the Wolves like that, which is understandable.
I don't know. We'll talk about Wotherspoon at another time, but I don't know what happened, man. He looked so good.
But with Romanov, night and day, Jekyll and Hyde, he's improved massively during the second half of the season.
Agreed.
He Walter Prufo.
Okay, so next we have breakout player, and to clarify again, what breakout player would be is someone who established themselves this season where they haven't beforehand, like somebody to where you're like, oh, where did this guy come from?
Can we all just say the name at the same time? Like
Three.
if I go 1, 2, 3, Hudson
Hudson
Fashion.
Fashion. The only one I could have made.
Is it even a question?
Well, no. Here's the better question.
You could say Engvall or Holmstrom or something, but Fashion is the rule.
I was going to say, John, let's do runner up because that would be way more
that's
interesting.
fair. My runner up is Pierre Engvall.
Yeah, is it everyone's?
Yeah.
Breakout. I would say Noah Dobson. I'm kidding. I'm not being serious. Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down.
For the first month, you were right. He was fantastic.
All right. I guess we can move on to the next one then. This is going to be.
Let's just say Hudson Fashing. Like I said in my tweet,
Mhm.
never heard of the guy before. Had no idea who he was. Wasn't even too impressed in the first few times I saw him. But after a few games, I was like, we got something special here. This guy basically is the fourth line all in one player. But
he's like the most tenacious, like never give up on a play forward I've ever seen.
Lou was like, nothing up this sleeve, depth forward.
The most interesting part, and Butchie actually pointed it out, one of the most awkward puck handlers I've ever seen, but the kid can fucking dangle.
Oh,
he's
actually pretty good at it.
It's very refreshing as an Islanders fan who's so used to dump in, pass, Matt Martin, Clutterbuck, kind of half dump, just pass back and forth around the boards 15 times. This guy will dangle you, go to the net and shoot. And it's like, wow, we needed that. And Engvall does the same thing. It reminds me of what Engvall does too. You notice Engvall, he'll take an extra second and come up the ice, or like I said, in transition, but he'll also do it in front of the net, where he'll go around the whole circle like Barzal would, not as fast, but I enjoy that. I enjoy when we have some actual puck handlers on the team. It's like, Lou, how do we get some talent?
Speaking of, another runner-up could be Matt Maggio.
He looks really good. If we were going to talk about prospects like that,
yeah,
I think he's the one guy to where I think like we really could have something here. So you got a good point.
I mean, for a 5th round pick to come out of nowhere, and he was in the OHL? No.
Yes, I believe so.
To lead the OHL in points, being a 5th round pick, I don't care how old he is. Actually.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Eric, I know this is harsh, and I know you guys might take this the wrong way, but this is exactly what the Islanders need when their fourth line is going to be retiring. I mean, to have someone like that can jump in on the fourth line and potentially be an impact player, you got to understand the Islanders are going to be changing their identity before our eyes in the next few years. They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, these fourth liners are at the end of their careers.
No, you're right. You're right. If they could ink Hudson Fashion to like a 5 or 6 year deal right now.
Well, I was talking about Maggio.
Oh,
I was talking about Maggio.
You think Maggio is fourth line though? Like, I'm not saying that he's not like.
Did you listen to what I said?
I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm saying I don't think he fills that role.
The Islanders are going to have to change their identity, and I think it'll be for the better because this is kind of low key. But the fourth line hasn't been that good this year. There have been spurts where they were okay, but on most games, they really aren't a difference maker. And maybe that's like the Islanders' identity now is just that, okay, fourth line goes out, nothing bad happens, and they work hard. But they don't.
Do you
don't
think theoretically your fourth line should be a goal-scoring line?
Well,
no, but I think
this is what he's saying. Let me interpret. This is what Mike is saying. You're changing that identity. You're not necessarily rolling the fourth line as the energy line or no, instead you're going to have guys like Maggio. And so this is what I see. I see Clutterbuck and Matt Martin falling off, but Cizikas feels like he still has some long-term viability. So if you put him as a wing or put Maggio as a wing for him, and then, now you've got almost like an additional scoring line, but who's also defensively responsible. I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but
I
that's
agree
kind of
with
what
that
you
in
mean, right,
theory.
Mike?
I think that it's not a bad idea. I just think if he's that talented, that you would want to put him with people that can set him up better.
I don't think he is, though. I think he's probably an overager who's working his ass off and doing well. Otherwise, he'd be known around the league by scouts. We would hear about it. But this is perfect because this is a guy who is going to, John, in those fourth line minutes, try and prove himself. I look at Colorado. Sure, he's not an Alex Newhook, but that's what helped them. A part of it that helped them win the cup. That kid was a fourth liner, John, his whole time there. Not the whole time.
Everybody wants a Tage Thompson. Maybe he's a Tage Thompson.
But he will get his chances because I don't know how much time Matt Martin and Cal Clutterbuck have left. I really don't.
Yeah, left theoretically.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right, next.
All right. So the last one I have is a bit more interpretive. Like you can go wherever you want with this, but this is best moment. What do you think was the defining moment of this season to where, like, maybe it was your favorite moment, or maybe it was the moment you realized that the team was going to do something this year, and so on? Okay. Eric, you go first.
I hate to be redundant, but I've already talked about it, and it's when that Bo Horvat trade came through, and it was just like it's happening. It's really happening. Like, and again, like I said, I don't think we are where we are without him, and the fact that he's here, on top of everything else that we've got, gives me more optimism than I've had in any of the Trotz years. Like, that's how optimistic I am about this playoffs. Because if we can get past Carolina and get everybody healthy, this is
it looks good.
A very dangerous team. And it's all because of that one. And like, paid 50 cents on the dollar for him. Like,
you're not wrong.
Compared to the other deals, getting it done early for Ratu and first, and who was it? What was the other piece?
Beauvillier.
And Beauvillier. Like, yes. Oh my God,
it worked out. Yeah.
I can't. I'm stymied by the trade still. Like, 2 months later.
This is happy Eric.
Yeah, it's
the angry Eric has left us.
I described him to a friend of mine because all the the pictures of him when they traded for him were like the rugged pictures. He's got a cowboy hat on him, and I was like, it was a friend who doesn't pay that much attention to hockey, but I was like, this is Barzal. It's like Cowboy Barzal. It's like Barzal, but rugged, like a rugged version of Matt Barzal. And now it's like having two. It's too much for me to even process.
That's fair. All right, Mike.
I'm sorry. What was the question again? I missed it.
Okay. No, you're good. You're good. Best moment. So either your favorite moment or a season defining moment.
I'm trying to figure out why you said that. Best moment. Oh, man, it's tough because what Eric said, I would agree. I was in a little bit of, a ton of shock with, because he was one of the 2 names or 3 that I had listed. That if the Islanders are serious about winning, they have to grab someone of that caliber.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's very good. I've had my, I've been a little, I'm not worried, but I don't know what the right word is. Just, I hope with Barzal he'll come back to what I think he could be. So, best moment, though. Oh, man, I wish I had this planned. I wish you told us this before.
I sent the notes out.
I would actually say, and this is going to be completely different than what everyone else, like anyone else, would expect from me. But
if you want to wait, Brandon's going to have at least 5, and
Brandon can do his, and then I'll do mine, and we'll come back to you.
I got the one defining moment.
I think
it's the.
Oh, sorry.
All right, let Mike finish. I'm sorry, I feel bad.
No, Brandon, you go first.
Brandon can go, then I'll go, then we'll go back to you.
So my one defining moment was the 7-2 spanking that the Islanders put on the Maple Leafs. That was the moment right there, because again, no Barzal's still in the lineup, and I believe Pajot wasn't playing either, if I'm mistaken.
He wasn't.
So without those two players, and it's like not like anybody was short rested. Everyone had their rest before that game started. They still put on a 7-burger, and they didn't need their top 6 to do it. Okay, Lee scored the goal at the end, but he was on the fourth line. He was in place of Matt Martin. That is depth right there. And the fact that they did that, playing structured, boring hockey in the third period, despite Nelson, and they lost Nelson during the first period of that game too. They lost Nelson. So they were essentially down 3 centers that game, and they still spanked the Maple Leafs. So that makes me think, you know what? The team's going to be okay with the system. They'll have their stinkers here and there, Washington. But you know what? They've buttoned up. They've buttoned up defensively, and now you supplemented that structure with skill, which ties into Eric's point with the Horvat trade. Because now you've given that playoff style hockey type of system with skill in Horvat and Bass and speed in Pierre Engvall. And it's not going to be like the defense ain't going to be like the P&P, Letty, Wojciech, Taves, Mayfield situation. It may be slight, it may sound slightest, but with the skill that they have now from Horvat, with the structure, the sky's the limit. And that defining moment against the Maple Leafs shows that.
Okay. So for me, I think my defining moment of the season was the Brock Nelson overtime winner against the Penguins in the last game we had with them. The Ilya Sorokin poke check, I guess you can call it, pass over to Brock Nelson to score the overtime winner, because that whole game was a game that we don't win.
Nope.
We realistically, we were down 2 goals with 5 minutes left. We had shown nothing the entire game against a playoff team that we are in step with. We needed that game. We showed a ridiculous amount of resiliency to get that win. Depth scoring came through, and then your star players needed to be your star players, and they were. How many times have we had through the years your star players needed to do something, and it just didn't happen? The puck is on Barzal's stick. The puck is on Nelson's stick. The puck is on Palmieri's stick, and it goes off the post. It goes wide. It doesn't go in. Everything broke our way. We made our own luck. They won a game that they desperately needed. It told me that we could do anything this season.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So with that out of the way, what we're going to do now is I want one bold prediction about a non-Islander team during the playoffs this year.
What about my defining moment?
Oh, sorry. Mike, go ahead.
Mike.
All right, so I want to see if someone can guess it. I'll make it more fun. For the 3rd time in the young season, the Islanders entered the second intermission trailing 3-1.
We're not in trivia yet, Mike.
Are you talking about the Avalanche game?
That's a great guess, but you were there for this one.
Oh, the Ranger game. Yeah. Okay.
So me and John were live at Madison Square Garden.
That was a blast.
And everyone was poking fun at us, around us, and having a good Ranger old time, including his friends. And then the Islanders said, "Hold my beer. I'm doing this for another time." And I can't believe they came back and won that game. It was ridiculous. I'm pretty sure Anders Lee scored the game-winning goal, too.
I think he did, yes.
But, yeah, no, I would say that was the year I knew where this team at least had a chance. They kept coming back. I knew it wasn't going to be sustainable, which it wasn't. You saw them stop coming back towards the middle of the season. But, once they started to change stuff up and tighten it up defensively, things got better. So, all right, what's next? Move on. But that was a fun one.
Yeah. No, that was a blast.
And then I got COVID.
Okay, so one non-Islander related bold prediction for the playoffs this year.
Okay,
Eric, you want to
start? Certainly. I don't know if this counts as a bold prediction, but I am I don't think Boston's going to win the East.
Okay. Yeah, that from what I can see
count?
about everyone kind of giving them the crown immediately, that would be a bold prediction, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. I think winning the President's Trophy is nice and all, and setting the record is nice and all, but I don't think I think that they're just not going to make it. My other bold prediction is that the Leafs are actually going to make it out of the first round this year.
Oh, you took mine. Oh,
Okay,
Eric.
I like it.
I know.
Eric's like, hold on, let me do Mike's as well. Oh well.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Eric,
Mike,
get out of my
yours
head.
was going to be that the Leafs were going to win the first round?
Yeah, he was inside my head and he heard what I said.
Sorry, Mike.
All right, well,
I take it back. No, I
has to
take
be
it
a-
back. Leafs are losing in round one. Suck
That's
it.
a bold prediction, right? Because we all know they're going to lose.
No, that's fair. Expand on it. Why do you think they're going to beat Tampa?
I just think it's been so many times that they've lost, and this is the first year in a while where I've watched them just consistently be dominant. Sure, they've had stinkers here and there like every other team, but if you look at guys like Tavares and Nylander just scoring his 40th tonight, by the way, it was a freaking beautiful goal against I believe it was the Rangers tonight.
Yeah,
Sure.
the Rangers Leafs, yeah.
And I think they won, right? The Leafs?
Yes, the Leafs won.
They are looking like a dominant force, and they're looking like it without Matthews being excellent. So
That's a good point.
So I think it's safe to say that this might actually be their year, and maybe Austin's more committed to his all-around game and winning. Or leaving that team if they don't win. Okay. Next.
All right, Brandon.
I don't think so, Mike. I still predict Toronto will lose in the first round again.
But that's not a bold prediction.
Yes, it is a bold prediction because
How is that a bold prediction? They always win the first round.
standings are. That's why. It's literally
I'm not counting that as a bold prediction. I need one more.
It's Schrodinger's hockey team. It's bold to predict that they lose. It's bold to predict that they win.
I don't really think that that's bold because they've lost like so many series in a row, looking dominant. So they need to show me at this point. All right, go.
Okay. Bold.
What's your backup?
Jeez. Okay, John, you go first.
Okay.
John just.
I'm actually going to go scorched earth with this. The Winnipeg Jets are going to the Stanley Cup Finals.
On Hellebuck's shoulders. Yep.
Yes.
That is bold.
Oh, man.
Connor Hellebuck is going to carry them.
He's the best goalie in the league.
Yeah, I think he's been phenomenal. I think the Winnipeg Jets before this, they hit a skid, but before that, they were in first place for a while, and they looked like one of the best teams in the East. In the West. So I think what's going to end up happening is their stars are going to come through. Connor Hellebuck is going to shut the door, and they're going to beat the Oilers.
What's the stat, John? How many games has Hellebuck played in a row for them?
25, I think they said.
No, 25. No, I think it's like 13 or something.
That's still
25
games. I thought Friedman said they played like 25 in a row or something like that. Like
he's going to need some DiPietro hips.
Yeah, 25 games in a row. The 25th game, he's just lying down.
he was nuts. Like he hard carried them through
the net like Goldberg. Connor, we need you. Help. Save. It looks like with how many, honestly though, John, I think it was 13 games. I think 25 would be illegal.
You could be right. You could be right.
Whatever it is, it makes what people, Sorokin can't play 6 games in a row. This guy played 13 in a row. He was dominant for them. He's pretty much the only reason they're in the playoffs, in my opinion. See, that's a team I'm going to go out on a limb and say, my opinion, he's the best goaltender in the league. There's not a single goalie better than him. But, except for playoffs Vasilevsky, but that's another story. All right.
Okay.
Brandon, what's yours?
Well, I was going to say Minnesota going to the Cup final, but I already gave that prediction. Before.
That's bold.
Do you still believe it?
Yes. 100%.
That is bold.
100%. 100%.
That's bold. Okay.
They're playing the same type of style that the Islanders play right now. They had flexibility down the middle with the Sundqvist trade. They finally did away with Jordan Greenway. Klingberg, surprisingly, has fit in well for their team somehow. Philippe Gustafson and Marc-Andre Fleury have a lighter workload because of how great their defense has been playing.
They extended your favorite player.
What's up?
They extended your favorite player for 5 years.
Oh God, that one I do with. I don't like the Freddie Gaudreau contract.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew what I was talking about, but yeah, Freddie Gaudreau got a 5-year deal, and I just thought of Brandon when they gave that out. Brandon's like, he sucks.
The funniest thing is when I can't stand him. The funniest thing is when Elliot Friedman tweeted, did he sign this on the bench? because that contract was announced during the game.
That's pretty funny.
But I still maintain Minnesota will go to the Cup final.
Okay.
Kaprizov's the man still. They got a lot of flexibility down the middle with Hartman, Steele. I know Ericsson's hurt, but Sundqvist will help soften that blow. I just like the way they match up against these other teams. They have everything, basically.
Wonderful. All right. So I think the last thing we have to do is trivia.
Yeah.
Do any of you guys have something? I know I do. Okay.
Who wants to go first?
You want to get me out of the way?
Yeah, sure, Brandon. Go ahead.
I almost don't because his are always ridiculously complicated, convoluted, 30-minute questions. Who was born in the 20s for the Islanders that walked through 15 hallways and also coached for 15 teams on my birthday?
All right, Brandon, let's hear it.
Okay. This I'm praying. I'm gonna test your fandom here. In all seriousness, because he plays on the Islanders, and it's obviously has to do with Anders Lee.
Okay.
Anders Lee scored his last regular season goal, last current goal against the Montreal Canadiens last night. Which team did he score his first career goal against?
Oh, I was there. Oh, and I don't remember. Wait,
I can see it in my head.
All right, can we guess? Can we guess in a row?
I have a guess.
Okay, right, I'm going to go first.
All right, you all guess, and I'll let you know who's right. Mike, you first.
Winnipeg.
Eric.
Was it the Hurricanes?
John.
Pittsburgh.
Mike is correct.
I was correct. Was I really correct?
Yep.
There you go.
Nice. Was it on Hellebuck?
No, Hellebuck was not there yet.
That's what I thought. I don't remember who it was on, though.
Hellebuck was a teenager.
It was during the lockdown.
Who is it on, though?
Don't remember his name, per se.
It was a wrist shot from the left half boards.
Yeah, it was like a wrist shot from the back half boards. It was during the lockout year.
Yeah.
His first goal. Howie Rose called it. Wow, that was pretty quick.
Let me go see it, who it was. I'm trying to look right now, but I can't tell.
It definitely was not Hellebuck.
I can't see it.
It could have been Andre Pavlik.
It might have been. Well, I don't know. That's less important, but I can't believe I remembered the team. How about that? Obviously, I got the goalie wrong.
Very impressive.
Good job.
I was at the game. Like, my memory was like blown. I remember shaking my grandfather. Like, that was his first shot. That was his first shot. And his family was at the game across from us.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So that was really exciting. I was so happy for him.
Oh, sure.
I didn't know he turned out to make $7 million.
Yeah, right.
It's all because of that shot. All right. So my question is a really fun one. I think Brandon's was actually fair this time, but
yeah, no, that was actually pretty simple.
Mine's harder than his.
Time too.
Mine's harder than his, but this will also test your fandom really, really well.
Okay.
So it's a 2-part question. The first one is, which Islander in 05-06, because of Brock Nelson's back-to-back high 30-goal seasons, which Islander in 05-06 came to the Islanders and exploded for 35 goals?
Came to the
Guess in order. Who's going first?
Came to the Islanders.
Came to the Islanders? So are you trying to say he was acquired by the Islanders that year?
I'm not telling you exactly what happened.
But that matters, though. That matters. Was it internally, or did the Islanders acquire him externally? Because
I have to be honest with you, Brandon. I'm pretty sure he's the only Islander that year that scored 35 goals.
05-06? Is it?
Yes, he was. He was far and away the only Islanders scored 35 goals.
Okay, I have a
There's
guess.
your hint.
Is it Blake?
Nope. Next.
Miro Shatan?
Yep. John got it. Now,
I guess.
oh, you were going to say Satan, right, Brandon? I had a feeling you were. Well, here's a better one for you, Brandon, and I'll let you go first. Which team drafted Miroslav Satan?
Buffalo Sabres.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Not
Oh,
the
who was it?
Senators. John. Well, you can guess. You're up, and then I'll give a hint.
Okay.
It would make sense if it was the Devils.
I'm not telling you. You had your guess.
The Satan. Okay.
What team makes terrible decisions? The Flyers?
No, you were on the right. So my first hint, and Brandon will start again for us, is it was a team in the West, and he was drafted in the 5th round. Brandon?
Okay. Is the team currently active right now?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Most teams were during that time, except for maybe like the Thrashers.
See, that's who I was going to go with next. So I was really curious to see what the answer to that question was.
Yeah, so I kind of gave you guys that one. It's not the Thrashers.
Yeah.
The last hint's going to give it away, so hopefully you guys get it before then.
Give me a second. It's
In the West.
It's slightly clicking. All right. It's not the Ducks. It's not the Sharks. It's not.
You have to guess, Brandon. Come on, just give a guess.
No.
Yes.
Vancouver Canucks.
Nope. Eric.
Oh.
The Stars.
Nope. John. John can go 2 for 2 right here.
The Arizona Coyotes or the Phoenix Coyotes then. Okay.
You ready to find out who it was? I got 2 words for you. Jordan Everly.
Oh!
Yes,
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
the Oilers drafted Miro
Wow.
Shatan. He was a 5th round pick, and he finished his career with 735 points and 1,050.
That sounds about right for them.
Well, all right then.
Sounds about right for Edmonton.
You got trivia, John?
Yes, I do. Okay.
Awesome.
So we all know about 07 Wade Dubowitz's poke check to save the Islanders season on the last game of the season to put them into the playoffs. But that was not the first time that the Islanders had to wait for the last game of the season to make the playoffs. This is a 2-part question. First part, what other year did they wait until the last game of the season to see if they made the playoffs?
I feel like that was when we were alive. Oh.
I will give you a hint. It is not when we were watching hockey. I don't know about Eric, but it is not from when we were watching hockey.
But you said we, so you mean me and Brandon?
Yes.
So I wasn't alive.
I don't know. I'm not going to say that. I'm saying it was not from when we started paying attention to hockey.
Well, how do you know when I was paying attention to hockey? I was at games when I was like 1 year old.
Okay, I'm making an estimate saying not 2000s onward.
This is fine, but this is a very difficult question because whatever I guess, I won't really know. But I'm going to guess, I will go first, 91, 92?
Very close, no.
Oh, fuck. Excuse my language. I forgot. Oh, well.
93?
It is the Islanders fucking podcast, right?
No.
Really?
What did Brandon say?
I said 93.
Oh, well, 92, 93 you meant, right?
Yeah.
You got to get both years, buddy. All right, Eric.
Come on, attorney.
So 93, 94.
No.
So it's 90, 91.
That part's correct. The second part was that they had to wait to see if they would make it in because a certain team had to win in overtime to get them in. They had to beat the Penguins. What team beat the Penguins in overtime to send the Islanders to the playoffs?
Can I ask you a question real quick, though?
Sure.
Oh, wait. I think I know this one. The Devils?
No.
What?
Did the Devils
We
exist
beat
yet?
the Devils.
Yeah, they existed. Yeah.
Oh, they did? It must have been really early. 91-92. Was that the year where the Islanders upset the Penguins?
No, 93.
No, I think that
93?
was 92, 93.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is actually before I was born. So, like I said, it gets a little hazy. Now, what wasn't there. I wasn't really there for that. But, so upset them. I'm going to guess the Rangers.
No. So basically, the last game of the season, they needed a team to upset the Penguins, and this team beat them in overtime to send the Islanders to the playoffs.
Oh. All right, I'll let Eric guess, but I think I got a fun answer.
Flyers.
No, but it is an Eastern Conference team, so you're on the right track.
So I'll go first. So I'll say something stupid. Was it the Whalers?
No.
Wait, were they out by then? They might have not.
No,
existed.
they were still in the league.
Oh, look at me. See, I'm close though, probably. I thought you were doing the question because of who we're playing, so I thought it was one of those.
No, I'm doing it because I saw it earlier today, and I was like, "Oh, that's really interesting."
An Eastern Conference team.
You're right, John. They were out by 97, so they were still around.
Yeah.
Eastern Conference team had to be.
That's so cool that they lasted that long. Best awesome logo, awesome jerseys.
Yeah.
Montreal?
No.
Damn. All right, Eric, do you have a
They
guess?
are in the same They are in the same division as Montreal currently, though.
Oh, I think I know what it is. Go ahead, Eric. Finish it off.
The Capitals.
Same division as Montreal currently.
Eric's like, let me give the wrong answer.
I don't know. You guys guess.
Is it Boston?
No.
The Maple Leafs.
No.
Really?
What team are we forgetting?
This is actually really funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Is it a certain team who's on a 12-year playoff drought? The Sabres.
It is the Sabres, yes.
Oh.
The Buffalo Sabres, and I believe his name was Owen Krupp, scored the overtime goal to beat the Penguins to send the Islanders into the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, that was a Brandon difficulty of question.
See, I thought you guys were actually going to get that because I only knew that because I read Stan Fischler's little article about the different times the Islanders had to win a game to make the playoffs. Really, I thought it was very interesting.
That's okay. Brandon's version of that question would have been the name of the player.
Right? I didn't want to go that
give
hard.
you guys a hint. He
I was
played
thinking
for
about
his
it.
team in '68. Thanks, Brandon.
I was thinking about it. All right.
Brandon has made his questions leapfrog level since that day. Go ahead.
What was the question?
No, it's already been answered.
No, it's all right. I think that's all we have, though. So, do you guys have anything else before we sign off?
Eric, you don't have a quick trivia question? You got to give us something.
I don't.
It's okay, bud. No worries.
I can give you some legal trivia if you want, but that's all I got right now.
Give me some Isles legal trivia.
Though that actually would get kind of interesting. They do have
we'll do that for next time.
legal history.
Yeah, do your research. Give us some Isles legal trivia.
There's actually a documentary on the guy that illegally bought the Islanders and
there you go.
owned them for a month.
Yeah. All right. Well, good job, guys.
This was fun. Good night, boys, and let's go Islanders. Let's go on a cup run.
Yes, I hope. All right. Thank you.